Yeah, and it's not just an all women-run kitchen, as it were, an all women-run business. It is also a deeply, in a sense, political statement for the times we live in post-Brexit, especially Asma, because these are all women, including yourselves, who are daughters of immigrants. They're also what you call second daughters, and I know that you talk a lot about this, especially to audiences in the West who don't understand this concept. So, speak a little bit about what it means to be a second daughter.
Well, the thing is that I think that people in the West do not understand, this is an agrarian society problem. If you talk to Irish women, you talk to women from Colombia, you talk to women in Mexico, they will completely get it. This whole idea of women eat last, girls eat least, we serve the men. Because the old tradition of men, working in the fields, coming back and being served. And it is to do with money. The fact that the farm is inherited by the boy, the family home is inherited by the boy. You do not give the farm to the daughter. So in those societies, there was the sense of lamenting when there wasn't a boy. And, first time, if it's a girl, the presumption is, oh, next time it will be a boy. The panic and the fear when another girl is born is very real. And no one has to sit down and tell you that, oh, we were all disappointed when you were born. You know it. And so many of us have grown up with that feeling of that we were not celebrated. And I know that when I was born, my mother was very disappointed. But my mother, who is one of 5 daughters and the middle daughter, has never talked about what happened to her. But what is incredible is she didn't differentiate when my brother was born. His birth was also not celebrated. I was 3.5. And I realized then that symbolism matters. You need to make an absolute effort to make a statement, to make that person feel equal. And, I don't know, I mean, my other siblings are going to freak out, but I think I'm my mother's favorite. And she has loved me equal to my brother and has
Yeah.
given us the sense of equality. So it can be achieved. But invariably in our society, there is this discrimination between boys and girls are made to feel not as preferred as boys.
So today you are your mother's favorite, yet you recognize that the sort of cultural context that she came from, there was pressure on her to give birth to a boy, and then you were born, and that must have at that time perhaps increased that pressure on her. Did you ever resent her or feel angry with her for feeling somewhat unwanted as the second daughter?
No, not at all. I think that, she was at her weakest. She was probably made to feel disappointed. Also, I know that I arrived, another girl, after a series of girls had been born in the family. So I think that that was also the other issue that, oh no, another girl. But I think she's amazing for the kind of background that she came from, and the fact that she went on to be a food entrepreneur. She inspired me hugely, and she had this, I things that I look back now in 1970s. Every month, my mother would take all the servants in the house to a very posh restaurant with us for dinner. Everyone would stare at us: the darwan, the driver, the ayah, the cook. But Ammu would take us all. So she had that, she internalized this sense that I must make everyone feel equal. So not just that she made me feel equal and powerful, the way that she treated the staff who worked in the house, you can imagine, even today, no one will do that. People will still stare
Yeah.
at you if you bring all your house help and sit down in a very posh restaurant. Ammu would do that in 1970s in Madras. I mean, then called
and
Madras.
and your new
She
book
changed
is
that.
actually your new book that's just out is actually based or inspired from her.
Yes, and the thing is that, I always had this book in me, but I wanted to write it in her lifetime. I wanted her to see the fact that I honor her. But in this relationship, I think everyone can see the Ammu in their lives, not necessarily their mother, but it is, divided into 5 decades of my life where I talk about childhood food, but where I talk about the way that she shook the world gently around her. Ammu was, ran a food business in Calcutta, coming from a Nawab family. No one could throw stones at her. She stayed rooted in her culture, pretty much like me. But I challenged the patriarchy. I challenged feudalism. I challenged xenophobia and racism, Islamophobia everywhere because There is no justification for hate. I will not let you hate. And as an immigrant, I tell a lot of people, I will not let you hate me because of the color of my skin, my Muslim name, my accented voice. You have to sit down, eat biryani with me, understand who I am. Then, when you want to get up and hate me, I forgive you because you tried to understand who I am. But unconscious bias, I will not. And I learned this from my mother that you do not hate anyone, you forgive, and you make an effort to do your best because you are in a position of power and privilege. And she's really inspirational.
Yeah, and I love what you just said, that you're actually battling multiple